What if the Department of Justice wasn't just politicized but completely privatized? Under Pam Bondi's leadership, the DOJ has shifted from upholding the law to protecting the powerful. Jaime Raskin, a whistleblower, didn't just expose a pattern of corruption, he revealed a roadmap of cover-ups and dangerous decisions within the department. From dropping high-profile corruption cases to firing key inspectors general who saved billions, what Raskin uncovered isn't just shocking, it's a threat to the very foundation of our justice system. What happens when the DOJ no longer works for the people? Let's dive into the truth that's been hidden from us.
The Department of Justice announced that it would demote the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and not bring prosecutions there. It sacked 17 inspectors general when it started, people who saved us a combined $91 billion last year in ferreting out waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption in the government. It pulled the plug on the corruption prosecution of Mayor Adams in New York after Mayor Adams agreed to engage in a political alliance with Donald Trump, which then prompted the resignation ultimately of 6 or 7 attorneys, including the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, Danielle Sassoon, who was a conservative Federalist Society lawyer and a Republican. Her number 2 also quit, saying that you'd have to be a fool or a coward to give in to this kind of pressure. Then they decimated the Public Integrity Unit. They dismantled the Kleptocracy Unit in Department of Justice. They shut down other units focused on stopping foreign interference in American politics. Mr. Fox, why is prosecuting white-collar crime with specific enumerated offenses with the definite material elements in the crime, why is prosecuting white-collar crime important?
Yeah, so I looked, it seems like there's about maybe 7% or give or take of crimes that DOJ prosecutes. It seems like that will fall under the white-collar category. I think, there's a lot of the work that the federal government prosecutes are things that far exceed the doctrine of enumerated powers, or things that the federal government has absolutely zero business getting involved in. I think white-collar crime is one that arguably can fall under the ambit of the federal government, and it's something that is important to, discourage political corruption, make sure that people are, being prosecuted because the Department of Justice has evidence that they committed a crime, and they're not being prosecuted because of, what their political views are, or that they're not being let off because of what their political views are. People don't trust a system that targets people or that ignores people based upon the views they espouse or the people they support.
So do you think that undermines public trust in the justice system?
Oh, dramatically.
It sends out the message that we have this 2-track system, one for people who engage in kind of the run-of-the-mill state law crimes like assault or theft or robbery, and then one for white-collar criminals in the government or in corporations or in politics who are able to get away with it if they know the president or they know the right person.
Yeah, I think that's right. And also goes back to the question Ranking Member McBath asked, which is, about are they going to target people who they know will fight back versus won't, or won't have the resources to? So I think, that's all very related there.
Yeah. Have you studied the whole question of whether there is systematic inclusion of a mens rea requirement, so we're not putting people in jail for most regulatory offenses?
Yeah, so a lot of regulatory offenses, and frankly also a lot of statutory crimes, don't include a mens rea. The theft charge that I talked about before in the Moore and Mansell case, if I were to take Mr. Canaparo's water bottle and give it to Professor Turley, we're on federal property, technically I could be charged. That's preposterous. No reasonable person would ever think that's theft, but without an actual explanation as to what theft is, that I actually intended to, take his wallet and bring it home with me, people would, they would absolutely, fall victim to these types of prosecutions, which dramatically undermines trust in the system.
Yeah, I understand that the chairman and I think Ms. McBath have this Count the Crimes Act, which suggests that we don't even know how many crimes we have. There's been such a radical proliferation of offenses throughout the federal code. But do you think it would be advisable for us, once we've counted the crimes, to propose a Cut the Crimes Act, where we get rid of a lot of the offenses that transform malum prohibitum regulatory crimes into real criminal offenses that most people would think should apply only to malum in se?
Yes, certainly. I know the chairman also has the Mens Rea Reform Act. I think those two things in tandem, if you set a default mens rea, that way, we're not sweeping people into the criminal justice system over things they didn't know would be crimes. And then also, I'm not sure it's actually possible to count all the crimes, but assuming we can do that, then we're able to sort of come to a consensus as to what doesn't belong. But I would also say, if we're not able to do that, there's other changes we could do. Like, I have an idea that we could just inform jurors that they have the power to acquit against the evidence when justice requires. So in a case where the Department of Justice brings a charge, like the case I discussed before, where any rational person would think it's absurd, the jury can be like, you know what, we don't agree with the defense theory, this is nonsense, we're going to acquit. And that's a power they still have.
And I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to commit a criminal infraction here by going over my time.
Too late.
Too late, yeah.
One of the first bombshells dropped by Jaime Raskin was the DOJ's decision to deprioritize the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, a law designed to tackle corporate bribery of foreign officials. This isn't just a minor shift, it's a green light for multinational corporations to engage in corrupt deals without fear of prosecution. By sidelining this critical law, the DOJ is opening the door to global corruption at a time when we need stricter accountability. What's more alarming is that this decision wasn't a mistake, it was part of a broader strategy to weaken oversight and protect the elite. This is a dangerous move that could have long-lasting consequences for global justice. Jaime Raskin didn't stop at policy shifts, he exposed a full-on purge within the Department of Justice. 17 inspectors general were fired, including those who had recovered a staggering $91 billion in waste, fraud and corruption the previous year. These inspectors were the DOJ's nonpartisan watchdogs, working tirelessly to uncover the truth. Removing them wasn't about improving efficiency, it was about silencing those who held the powerful accountable. Raskin made it clear that this purge wasn't a coincidence, it was a deliberate effort to blindfold oversight, allowing corruption to flourish unchecked. This wasn't about efficiency, it was about covering up the very corruption that should have been exposed. One of Raskin's most explosive revelations was the sudden dismissal of a corruption case against New York Mayor Eric Adams. The timing of the DOJ's decision to drop the case was highly suspicious. It happened shortly after Adams forged a political alliance with Donald Trump. This wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was a blatant political cover-up. What followed was a mass resignation from 6 federal prosecutors, including the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, Danielle Sassoon, and her deputy. Both claimed they couldn't stomach the pressure to ignore corruption for political gain. Raskin's point was clear: this wasn't about enforcing the law, it was about political enforcement. The DOJ had become a tool for protecting the powerful, not prosecuting them. Raskin didn't stop at exposing corrupt cases. He also revealed how key DOJ units were systematically dismantled. The Public Integrity Unit, the Kleptocracy Unit, and the team dedicated to preventing foreign interference in U.S. elections were all shut down. These units were vital in investigating and prosecuting white-collar crime, political corruption, and foreign meddling. Their closure wasn't an accident, it was a direct attack on the DOJ's ability to hold the rich, powerful, and foreign interests accountable. Without these units, the DOJ is unable to pursue crucial investigations that protect our democracy. The message is clear: when you stop going after corruption, you protect those who are already in power. Raskin made a crucial point: when the justice system fails to prosecute the rich and powerful while coming down hard on those with fewer resources, it doesn't just lead to injustice, it erodes public trust. The growing perception that the system is rigged against the average citizen leads to a dangerous divide. The DOJ is no longer seen as a fair and impartial institution, it's viewed as a tool for the elite. This two-tiered justice system creates instability and weakens democracy. As more people lose faith in the system, we risk falling into a society where only the powerful are protected, and the rule of law becomes just a hollow phrase. Jaime Raskin's warnings weren't just about exposing corruption, they were a call to action. As an insider, he understands the DOJ's inner workings and the dangers of its current trajectory. What he's documenting isn't just a series of isolated incidents, it's a slow and deliberate transformation of the DOJ into a political weapon. Raskin's message is clear: if we don't pay attention now, the damage to our justice system could be irreversible. His testimony isn't just about one corrupt case or political alliance, it's about the erosion of fairness and accountability in an institution that was once meant to serve everyone equally. His alarm bells are ringing, and we need to listen before it's too late. The DOJ's transformation into a political weapon is a grave threat to justice and democracy. Jaime Raskin's revelations shed light on how the system has been corrupted from within, with powerful interests pulling the strings and sidelining the very units designed to protect the public. As we watch the dismantling of crucial oversight and the rise of a two-tier justice system, the question remains, will we let this continue? Raskin's exposé is a wake-up call. If corruption isn't held accountable, our democracy itself could crumble. If you're worried about the direction of our justice system, don't scroll past this. Hit like if you believe in fairness, share this video to spread the truth, and subscribe to stay informed on the real story.